Hello, welcome to the Black Advancement. I'm your host, moderator for today. I'm guest moderating. We got the main guy over here on the screen.
No need to elaborate. Just keep going. It's
I'm-
fine.
so I'm Shanice Goodman. On the screen, we have the president of Black Advancement, Aji Goodman. We have the beautiful Alexis Vaughn, and we have the amazing Antoine Smallwood. We also have our guy on the couch. You won't see him, but you'll hear through him throughout the discussion. So this is the first installment of the Black Health topic. The focus is on this topic is Black Phat, spelled P-H-A-T. If you're old school, you know what that means. If not, it's okay. We can hit you to the game. That fat is a good fat. So, all right, so PH, good fat. This is gonna talk, we're gonna focus on the idea of Black beauty and how it affects the Black community. So the Black Advancement Inc. is a nonprofit organization that looks to combat the problems of the Black community through action and dialogue. This is being our dialogue portion of this. So I'm gonna hit you up with some front street so you get a little bit of background on the topic. So most Black men, I can say men in general because who doesn't like a little curves, okay? So, and we have Takara joining us. So I'm gonna have her admit as well.
Okay.
All right, so on the screen we have joining Takara. She'll be in a couple of seconds as well. Takara, the record is in process, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go on with our front street. So most Black men have no problem with the woman with curves, and Black women have even fewer complaints with their figure. Our version of what is sexually stimulating and attractive in general has different over the years with the Eurocentric version of beauty. And we are rarely seen on the magazine covers or the social media pages as being beautiful. However, much like the Eurocentric version of beauty, our shape can also be viewed as harmful to the body and to the mind of our people. So this leads us into our question. Are we putting too much of this idea or our version of beauty? Sorry, are we putting too much into this idea or is our version of beauty helping to contribute to the destruction of the Black community? So question number one is our perspective of beauty unhealthy? We're going to kick this off to start off with Aji. What do you think?
Oh, wow. Peaches and gravy, Marie. Let me go ahead and start. I understand that like there's a big thing about some of the measurements that they use as far as like the healthcare system when it comes to like, body mass index. I think it's BMI, like body mass index and things of that nature. Considering that Black people, generalizing, of course, can be more curvy or have a, you know, I guess more meat to their bones, so to speak. It could come off, I think, as being unhealthy in the way that we view it in terms of our health standards here in the West. But I think that's a little outdated as far as the way that people look at the idea of that being a particular part of health. I'm not saying that to say that it's not important to eat right and to do this and do that, but I think that to automatically assume somebody who is bigger boned is necessarily unhealthy or out of shape is an outdated concept. And I think we're getting further and further away from that. The idea of the Black community's view of beauty being unhealthy is kind of a is kind of a dicey one to me. I could see where that might be the case, because we're not as we don't encourage the idea of rail skinny. I don't think in most instances, as other cultures do, that are more accepted worldwide, I should say. At least not in my opinion, in my life experience. I don't think it's necessarily something that contributes to our health problems, but I could see where the argument could be made for that. So that's what I have to say to that question.
All right. Does anybody else want to take this one?
I'll jump in. Smallwood here. I think that health and beauty are two different things. I think that from a beauty perspective, I think the question is our perspective of beauty unhealthy? Am I correct concerning that?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that I think it's unhealthy in terms of our perspective. I think curves are a beautiful thing. I think if you're smaller and you're fit and you look how you look, you're still beautiful, right? Big doesn't mean unbeautiful. I think in terms of health and being health conscious, that's an entirely different topic. But I think how you look is how you look. And, you know, if you're 400 pounds and you look good and your face card is good and you're curvaceous, you look good. If you're 160 pounds, if you're 120 pounds, you know, it's like, it's all about you, you know, and how you
400's
feel.
a lot. 400's a
I
lot.
know. I mean, that's again, that's the health part, right? But you
Just
you
saying.
can you have some beautiful women that are, you know, they're just big. It's what it is. That doesn't make them not beautiful, right? But
I
it's
didn't
just
say beautiful. I just the healthy side.
oh, well, oh yeah, the health part
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
yeah, no. But in terms of being able to be fit, I think that we would as a community benefit better from pushing the narrative that people getting skinny maybe is not fit as opposed to people getting fit is a different thing, you know, because the more fit you are, you'll find your leveling in terms of your BMI and all those other kind of numbers. But for me, it's like numbers mean one thing, but how you feel and how you carry yourself, you'll know with your energy levels and all of that if that aligns. So hopefully that made sense there. But yes.
All right, Takara, Alexis.
You know what? I'm gonna piggyback off of what Aji is saying. Our perspective of beauty is kind of dicey, right? I'm gonna side note here and say, Aji, you know, there's nobody on 600-pound life that's single. So there's a lot of, you know, large people that are, you know, beautiful, right? Inside and out. It's all about personality.
Hold on a
But
second. Hold on. You gotta. We gotta have to double check.
we're
We're gonna
not
double
gonna we're
check
not
that
gonna
out. Guy
veer
on
too
the
much,
couch,
right?
get on it. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But here's what I will say as far as, you know, us being is our perspective of beauty unhealthy? I would say no. And here's why. Our perspective of beauty, it brings in billions. It's $1 billion business every year, right? And it's not because we don't think we're beautiful. It's because other people think we're so beautiful and they're trying to duplicate and they're trying to capitalize off of it.
Preach.
And our curves are so renowned that you have people that are spending so much money to look like us.
Mhm.
I mean, the Kardashians didn't have those curves before they went to the doctor. And if you post this on the YouTube, they can quote me on saying that. I'll say it again. Like they didn't, right? So they didn't have our nose, they didn't have our lips, they didn't have our hair. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar business every year. And that's not to knock everybody. I'm not saying that, you know, everybody, you know, is different, I will say, but for the most part, there's something unique about our beauty that people try to duplicate, right? There was a what is it? There's a when you look at, you know, they talked about Sarah Bartman, but now they talk about Megan Thee Stallion. But now they want to duplicate Megan Thee Stallion. So is our perspective of our beauty unhealthy? It's not. It's just, you know, but again, it's one of those dicey things, as you said. So
That leaves us with you, Takara. What do you think?
I mean, I like what Alexis said. She's right. I'm sorry. She is absolutely right. Nobody is single on 600-pound life. So, you know, you can say all you want about 400 is a lot, but for a lot of people, 400 is just right or it's
You
not
said
enough.
400 ain't enough. Is that
Yeah, exactly. So no, but yeah, like those people are not single. She's right. You know, but I think we have just been socialized. Somehow, as much as they try to emulate Black beauty, we have been socialized to ascribe to white beauty, which is silly because they spend so much time trying to look like us. I mean, you know, Alexis, she like really hit the nail on the head with that one, right? Because we don't, you know, we have always been ourselves, you know, we do, but we don't get credit, you know, for a lot of the things that we create, a lot of things that come from, you know, Black beauty. But for some reason, everybody is supposed to be, you know, skinny and, you know, fashion week. We need to understand those things are reserved for fashion week. There's been a lot of talk lately about the lack of diversity with the like the fashion designers, the creative directors for all of these different fashion houses that we can spend so much money on buying their clothes, but their clothes really are not designed to fit us, you know. But But then on the other hand, people don't talk about how now we got all this fast fashion, which is to fit these caricature shapes of white people who have went to the extreme, and now Black people have now gone to the extreme to fix something that was already beautiful. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous that we don't even realize how people are like being brainwashed. And I also like what Antoine said about, you know, like really to each his own. Everybody doesn't like the same thing, but society would like to make us believe that we all supposed to again look like these like skinny white models who, you know, Beverly Johnson has now come out with, she's a Black model, but she talked about like basically eating like rice and like one meal a day or something extreme to keep that size. I mean, these things are ridiculous, and we really need to like let go of that. And people should just be, you know, happy with who you are, because loving yourself is more important than any of this mess, trying to ascribe to somebody else's beauty standards or looking like a caricature of yourself, or, you know, all these crazy ideas. We should just like, I mean, everybody needs to be appreciative of their own beauty, and Black people, we should just be happy because they all try to look like us anyway.
Fair. That's fair.
That is.
Yeah, go. I'm sorry, Shanice.
All right, yep, that's definitely true. Everybody wants to pay to look like us. I definitely agree with you guys' point there. All right, let's see what the people on the website have to say. We have our guy in the couch. Go ahead.
All right, question number one, is our perspective of beauty unhealthy? TDH says, I think that the shape and size of what we as Black people love is fine. However, I believe that the way that it is exploited is unhealthy, specifically for Black women. For instance, if a Black woman is thick, I believe that she's encouraged to show off her assets in a promiscuous fashion, thus the huge surge in popularity of becoming a stripper, or at least having some stripper in you, like you choose.
All right, well, what do you guys think of that?
I think that's an interesting comment. The idea, see, that's something I hadn't think about from this context until that was brought to my attention. The idea of them using Black women being encouraged to use their assets in a hypersexualized way, and them like maybe pushing people towards that style as opposed to saying you can have all this and be a brain surgeon. I think that's an interesting thing to. It's an interesting way to look at it, and then from that perspective, I guess mentally, or at least from a visual perspective, that is pretty unhealthy from that perspective. That's just my opinion on it, though.
Okay. Does anybody else have a comment regarding TDH's comment?
I mean, we're always hypersexual. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, hyperly sexualized.
We are. It is. I mean, and I think this goes back to, think about it. Young Black girls are more likely in school to get in trouble, right? They're more likely in school to have detention. It's not because they act up more, but because how they are viewed is they're looked at, even if they're, 12, 13, they're looked at as if they're 18, 19-year-olds, right? Mm-hmm. Because, and I hate to say men, but typically it is men that are hypersexualizing these young girls. But it's not. It
happens to boys too, though.
It happens to boys too, right? So it's not just the young girls. It happens to young boys, and unfortunately, this is something where we're impacted across the board from 5, 6, 7 years old all the way up until your mid-20s, your early 30s, things of that nature. So, and we say controversial stuff on here all the time. I mean, I'm about to go gain another 400 just so I can get married or whatever it is I might need to do. Here's the deal. But think about it, right? Like, we're also the most educated, like Black women are. Whereas you look at our white counterparts, typically ain't nobody pushing them to go and strip. Ain't nobody pushing them to go do an OnlyFans or go model and no Fashion Nova or anything like that. But it's like, what do they have?
Respectfully, they don't have the assets to do some of those things as well.
They might not have the assets, but their asset has always been to kind of push their men to do certain things. A lot of times when you look at, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but okay, when you look at Martin Luther, okay, you got a Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott could stand on her own. You got people out there fighting for the Klan, and not to mix beauty and the Klan or anything like that. But what were they doing except for, sewing the hoods? So, I mean, the main thing you really got to think about is, what do we have versus what they have? And we have a lot of brains and beauty.
Mhm.
We ain't sewing nobody's hoods. You know what I mean? Like that's not our asset. So in order to minimize us, yeah, you hypersexualize us.
Mm. That's a good point. Very good point. Anyone else have to add to the comment?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
again, this is something they've been doing for years. You know, I would say again, they'll find a way to, again, there were times where they would again make caricatures of us, where, we had the big red lips and, women were, like you say, hypersexualized. They would rape and pillage women, but black women, but they were also very attracted to us too. I mean, being a stripper is, first of all, requires talent. I mean, if you're going to be any good at it to make money, that's talent and it's work. I would, that is, listen, I've been to a pole class before. That is not my forte. That would not be my strong suit.
Were there
But
any
Phantom
were there
ministry.
any 600 pounders in there?
there were not. There were not. But that does not mean those women can't do some of those
I didn't
things.
say that. I didn't say that. I
Right.
didn't say that.
But you're talking about one class, and
Yeah.
these, I mean, and it's not all black men at the strip club, to
Mhm.
see black women, right? I mean, it's definitely was something that may have been, like you say, came along to demoralize us, but it has also turned into a sense of power. It's
yes,
a billion-dollar industry in the black community. There, it may not be something for me or something for other people, but for some people it's a temporary step to get to, where you're trying to go in life. As Alexa was saying, there are black women who, maybe that's where they go. They make their money, they pay their tuition, they become a nurse, they become an attorney, they become an engineer, and then those people move on from that part of their life. But those aren't the stories that are highlighted. People tend to focus, in the way they portray us in the media, is all the negative aspects of what, things that people do. Sometimes it's a means to an end, and we may not all agree with it, but if that's what worked for that person, listen, I'm all for, like, you taking advantage of something that may have been, this negative connotation for us for years. But don't forget, that's work, it's performance, and they deserve that money.
I think it's easy to say, do you boo, like, until it's like your daughter. So it's like you know what I mean? Like, I think that's an easy thing to say. So it's hard. I don't know, like, not to overly moralize it. Because I don't, I'm not gonna stripper shame anybody or anything like that. But at the same time, if it's somebody who's of your last name, you'd be like, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm sorry. I think
Yeah, but I mean, there's, benefits, to being beautiful, more ways than one, right?
absolutely,
So you don't have
absolutely.
to be on the pole to make that money. Like you say, you can have an OnlyFans. I mean, white people have definitely are making a lot of money doing
True.
that. And then you got, where they, their own people are cutting them from their jobs and all of this stuff. But it's your husbands that's on there paying to see people's feet and their underwear and see these pictures of people or whatever else they doing
That's
on
true.
OnlyFans,
That's
right?
facts.
Like,
Yeah, that's
y'all
facts.
might be upset about it, but they gonna still make their money one way or another, right? So, I mean, what if you are somebody who is at the strip club and you serving food, you a bottle girl. You may not be stripping, but you are taking advantage of your beauty and you can make money that way. I mean, some of those women are probably making more money than me as a nurse practitioner. I mean,
Yeah.
should I really be like hating on them about that?
Yes.
I mean,
No. I'm sorry. I didn't
no,
speak
like,
for
I'm
you.
No,
sorry.
not
I
at
just
all. That's the
don't
thing.
no.
that way.
I'm
I
just saying
mean,
that's
like,
not my ministry. Like I ain't knocking nobody. It's just not my ministry.
Right. It's not my
Yeah,
it's not my
thing,
ministry. Is that what
but
right,
I'm just
Our
like,
minister make more money than me as a teacher, so.
right.
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like, ugh, but some people, they don't like that industry. It's literally a means to an end. And if
Mhm.
our issue with, society and systemic racism have kept you from getting money other ways, you're going to utilize the avenues that are available for you. Can you blame some people for that? Not that everybody has to do that. And you can
Right.
say, oh, there's other ways, but everybody can't just go into a bank and get a loan. I mean, let's
That's true.
still here in 2024, it's true,
That's
and the cost of college now is exorbitant. Stripping is
that's
not illegal. So, I mean, if that's how you paying your tuition, let's just be happy that it's like, listen, this is the goal, this is my vision board, and unfortunately this is what I have to do to get there. People can argue with that, but these are tend to be people who haven't maybe been in a situation where, you know, it was dire, you didn't have any other way to financially secure your future. You know, these, I mean, that's, everybody doesn't, you can say that we all have the same access, but do we really? I mean,
No,
that's
I
what
mean,
we
that's,
talk
No,
about,
it's
right?
it's
That's what
never
we,
it's
absolutely.
never it's
right,
never fair, right? It's
right.
never
That's what we
fair,
talk
but
about. So, I mean, like, for some people, it's like, okay, you know, I can't get any more loans. I can't get this. I can't get that. So maybe, you know, it might be that's their avenue to get there.
I also agree with what Takara is saying because I feel like it's 2024. And the reason for me personally, I can only speak for me that I'm like, look, to each their own is that, listen, if somebody can get something in 2 years, they would rather take them 10 years and they're not breaking the law. They're working a legal job or whatever. And so again, to that point, somebody is paying to see you. Somebody's going to the strip club. Somebody's going to OnlyFans. Somebody's going to subscribe on Instagram to somebody's thing just to see them like cut up bread or whatever, you know, it is what it is. It's a new world with that. And I think that for so long, the hypersexualization of Black women in particular has been pushed to the point where if you're a reporter, if you're even a teacher or whatever, and they're like, oh, why are you wearing that? That's how you're built. You wearing a regular outfit that looks one way on you, but it might look some way on somebody else. You
that's
can't
different
tell.
from being a stripper, though.
It's not because
You don't think
stripper,
so?
I do not. It's a choice.
Oh,
When
It's
you
a
talk
choice.
about hypersexualization, it's not, because he's saying that doesn't, it's not limited to just in the strip
oh, I
club.
see. Okay,
If people
all
are
right,
Yeah.
going to
I got what you're saying.
hypersexualize you, they're going to do that anywhere. I treat veterans for a living.
Right.
It's something I have to be cognizant of in my job as well. Like, you know, I know that I'm going to be working with a lot of men, and sometimes they are like, oh my gosh, I've had them say, you know, you're aesthetically pleasing. That's literally the term I had somebody used before. And he wasn't even being creepy or anything. This is
Right.
just
Right.
him saying I was nice looking. But there are some people who are going to hypersexualize you no matter what, you know, no
That's
matter where you are.
I agree
And
with that.
you have
I
to be
agree with that.
cognizant of that, but we shouldn't have to be, right? You shouldn't
Yeah.
have to be.
Right.
You should wear whatever you want to wear. But we can't control, you know, like how now it's okay for men to catcall and do all this harassment stuff. And it's really not okay. You know, like, why can't I just be beautiful and you just leave me the hell alone?
It's arguably never been okay to catcall. We're just getting called out on it like recently.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that
But
part
they've
of
been
it,
doing it for years,
yeah.
objectifying women, hypersexualizing
And,
women. Oh, you know, I mean,
and plus, I will say from at least from the men's perspective, generalizing, of course, from a men's perspective, the experience when it comes to people expressing how beautiful someone is, it's a lot different for men than women. Like every man that you would ever say that to, generalizing, of course, really handsome people actually don't feel the way that you feel as a woman. But regular dudes like me, they walk around. If a bunch of women randomly gave them compliments, they would be walking around. Their head would be so big they couldn't fit in a door. Right? They'd be like, "Oh, this is great, man. I'm feeling good about myself." But you guys listen
But
to it every day, so it's a different approach. Antoine, am I telling the truth on that one or no?
you are, but there's
So,
one part that I want to add to that. So I had twin sisters, right? And so I remember that we're not going to be likely to be followed by a woman in a grocery store after that. You know, hey, you look good, sir, with the glasses and the beard, right? They're not
for
going to follow
yourself,
you.
Antoine. I mean,
They're chasing you around the
like,
store. I get it. No, but like for women, it can become creepy because there are a lot of guys who would turn from, hey, you look good today. And then Takara's like, all right, cool. If she acknowledges this person, you
right.
know, and then tries to go on about her day, she goes to aisle 5. Now this person's on aisle 5 running up on her, right? And so it's like it's a slippery slope there. So I definitely agree with what you said. But on the flip side of that, I understand with the leave me the hell alone kind of narrative
Oh
because
yeah,
you
there's no
step
doubt.
back sometimes
No
and you'll
doubt.
be like, damn. If you think about it in your life when you went to holler at somebody, right? You probably didn't approach it like on some Deshaun Watson creepy tip. But for one of you, there's like 20, 25 dudes who are out there and maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not. Maybe they just never knew how to approach women, or maybe they are creeps, you know, and they on some other kind of tip, right? It's much more frightening.
Yeah.
As a woman, you might have that much time to make a snap decision on, do I say something? Do I not? If I don't say something, this person's going to be offended and then take other actions. You know, it's a wild world with that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of more. I didn't realize it until I got older how much safety plays a role into just women's every move of the day. So I didn't put that into perspective as a man. That was a blind spot for me. So
Right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and take a plug into the website. If you can go into www.blackaadvancement.com, there's a lot of things you can research. Say you didn't know a lot about this topic, we have a research section. We also have a current events section or event section, like if we're doing something in the community and you want to come and join us, check out our events. And we also have Black History Month. We have this section called In History. This is little known facts about the Black experience that you may be interested in as well. So take a look at the website. And this brings us into question number 2. And we might have touched on this a little bit already, but just to get the conversation still rolling on it. So is our perspective of beauty tainted by the media, movies, or social media, magazines? So what shapes our perspective, and is it tainted by what's popular? Anybody wants to take that question can go ahead and start.
Yes. Yes, it is. It shouldn't be, but it is. Like I was saying earlier, this is something that, like I said, they really emulate. They really want to look at us. Duplicate. They want to, look like us. But somehow that has still, you have these other images, like you say, in movies and media and like advertisements, commercials, Instagram, right? Social media. It's like as if everybody is supposed to kind of, be, well, they did used to call it a brick house, right? Back in the day, right? But those things were natural. He was talking about a natural woman. He was not talking about women who went and had all of this surgery done. But it's like you say, makeup and how you're supposed to dress and how you're supposed to look. And, it's like this idea of like, we all supposed to look the same, but that's just not how people are made. That's not how nobody is made to look the same. Everybody is unique. And I think we just all need to like focus on just being us and not listen to media. However, I do see there's some small changes that have been made where they have become more inclusive as far as when you talk about even the color of people that you see in ads, the size of people, even people with disabilities are now included with ads. And that's even starting with children, and you see it with adults. So those things are refreshing, but we don't see it far enough as we need to.
I agree. It's very, very much tainted by magazines, movies, and everything else. And it's always been that way, I would say, which is why you've always seen certain type of folks only featured on those covers. Like if you go to the world's sexiest woman or man, you might look at that and be like, what? That's who they chose? And you're just like, it blows your mind. Like, who was on the panel selecting this person, because you could think of what you could think of and be like, yeah, there's like 20 people that'll wipe the floor with their top 50, but it's what it is. It's a matter of the perspective that they're pushing. So I do think on one hand, the media and everybody has their agenda, but I think us as our own people also should be pushing, hey, look, beauty comes in all shape, form, and sizes. It comes, whatever. Somebody said, somebody in a wheelchair or something, you listen, everybody has that potential. Whatever you see is what you see. There's a lot of good looking people out there. And I think that we have to stop pushing that you got to be this waist size and this right here. And that's what happens when people go for surgeries, and then things unfortunately don't always work out that way. You get a lot of unnecessary deaths, and not judging. You do what you do to make yourself look beautiful, but we have to embrace the beauty that's around us. Otherwise, you're going to be just left looking towards what's on the magazine cover, which is natural. You could go in a grocery store tomorrow or whatever store, and like you'll go online and you're going to see, hey, this person is featured. Oh, maybe I need to look like them. Maybe I need to wear that makeup. Maybe I need to have my cheekbones look like this. My waist needs to be snatched like that. And so it's rough. So yeah, empowerment, it kind of helps to kind of mitigate a bit of that. But I do think that it's a long road there, because it's hard to convince somebody that sees this prototype or proposed prototype every day on this magazine, in this movie, with these kind of lips and whatever, that, man, I need to look like that if I want to have that kind of success.
I feel like unfortunately the next generation is not as mentally empowered as the past generations were, because of the omnipresence of social media. I think that a lot of kids, they don't watch TV like we watch TV, they watch YouTube, right? And you have these influencers and they look a certain way, and they have people they have channels that's completely dedicated to how to do your makeup. They have channels completely dedicated to how to lose weight and look a certain way. They have complete I think that they are unfortunately, not only that, but there's just been a plethora of events that have occurred. If you're like 15 years old, you got to think about all the stuff that you've seen. You've seen everything from the first black president to Trump's presidency to the stock market burst into to the COVID pandemic to the, it's just been one thing after another. The only thing that has been consistent for them has been the social media spaces. And those things can take a toll on people's mentality and a toll on the way that they view themselves and they view others. And I think that they might be in a worse spot than we were growing up. Like, we had things that could distract us and we could pull away from. This thing is, like I said, it's omnipresent. It's on your phone. People walk around with their phones 24/7. Most people get phones earlier and earlier now because, shootings happen random. They had a shooting at the Super Bowl parade. I mean, like, so people are giving their kids phones earlier, putting them in front of these electronic things earlier, and they're going to gravitate to stuff that is, unfortunately, I think, going to hit their self-confidence a lot earlier too. To say that, what is it, that it like taints the way that we look at ourselves. I do believe that's always been a thing. I mean, I would love to look like a superhero myself, but you got to work for that. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you understand that whatever you're trying to do, you got to work towards doing something like that. I think that puts a better perspective and thought process in the person's head. And if you know there's something that you can't work on, then work on being a better person, But I digress from that point. It's a problem that's always going to be there, as far as, because every generation, nothing's new under the sun, and every generation deals with the same stuff over and over again. That's kind of what parents are here for, and they don't listen to their parents. They listen to social media. So I mean, like, that's what it is. So that's my comment for this one.
Awesome, Alexis.
So I agree with what everybody is saying here. First and foremost, I think I was watching, was it Michelle Obama recently, when she talked about, wearing her braids and how she couldn't do it when she was in the White House because the media would have had a field day talking about her, right? And that's something that comes normal for us, right? Wearing natural hair, or if I decide I want to wear braids tomorrow, or if I want to wear my fro out or something like that, it is, everything is tainted, right? Because we go to work and it's like, okay, well, how are they going to perceive us? Is that going to mess up my promotion? Is that going to mess up my ability to move up in my job? Is that going to mess up, my relationships, or whatever the case may be, all because of how we might dress, or if I wear something that is Afro-centric or something of that nature. So yeah, there's a taint there for sure. It's an everyday challenge. And Aji, I mean, you hit it spot on when you talk about social media, because that's something that's constant. That is something that plays on emotion. That's something that plays on mentality. That's something that plays on the next generation. Just in the back room right now, I just picked up my niece. She's 24. I see posts all over. Like, we're sitting at lunch today and she's taking pictures. I'm like, for what? Like, this is you and I at lunch right now. But that's like the everyday thing. I don't know if I've taken more than 5 selfies in my life, but mapping out how you look this morning versus how you look at noon versus how you look at 8 p.m. And then she was like, well, do you contour? And I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but what is this? Like, your face is your face, right? Like, I don't understand. So I think that there's this caricature of how we're supposed to look and how the media presents us. I went and saw, what was it? What is that new movie that just came out? Help me.
I'm gonna take
American
Fiction.
American Fiction. And it was awesome because it talked, basically he had to become a stereotype of himself in order to be able to sell his work. And that's what people were buying. And ultimately, that's what it is. There are studies of how people perceive us, right? So then they have to look at these studies, and they look at us, they look at me, they look at Shanice, they look at Takara, and they're like, okay, well, what's selling is Nene Leakes, right? Like, that's what's selling. It's not all these other people that are, it's not, who, I can't think of her name, the person that actually, Ruby, that went to Hampton, but the one that did the costumes for Black Panther.
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about,
yeah,
right? But
Ruth Carter?
Ruby Carter, thank you. So that's not what's selling.
Hold on, y'all. On Black
Ruth,
History.
somebody Google that before we mess up her name altogether.
But Ruth,
what sells is what sells media ads. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? But what sells media ads are these caricatures of us. What
Mm.
sells media ads are these caricatures of Black men. It's not so much, you know, the educated Black man or the Black man that's raising his kids, because that's normal. But what sells is the fact that, well, all these Black men have left their children. You know what I mean? So for them, like, there's this look or this image that the angry Black woman or the angry Black man or the loudmouth Black woman or the Black woman with the straight hair with all the makeup on, that's what's going to sell. So yeah, I think there definitely, you know, our beauty standard has definitely been tainted by the media. It's tainted by social media. It's tainted by this image of what people want to see, because honestly, Hampton graduates are boring, right? Like, for the media, Hampton graduates, like, I'm boring. So why would I sell? I don't sell Maybelline. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but that's just the reality of it. So, I mean, Takara, I'm sure she's great at her job. She's beautiful, but for them, she don't sell Dove. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what they're going to want to put out there. So it's all about what sells. What can you capitalize on? You know, it's one of those things where, again, we're $1 billion business, and if we weren't $1 billion business, I go back to the Kardashians, they wouldn't be tanning in their office every day.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, that wouldn't be the case. They would be dating more Black men. I mean, more white men as opposed to Black men all the time, as opposed to, you know, selling a certain image. And again, you can call them up and tell them I said it, but it is what it is. But I mean, I'm being real, right? Like, it is what it is. So the media sells this, and then people try to take it. So is it tainted? For sure. And we have something that people want. So they take what part of us that they can capitalize on, and then they turn that into a business, and then they turn it into a caricature, and then they sell it in so many different ways.
Mhm.
I think if they don't sell the caricature and they sell the real thing, then, you know, it shifts the fundamental mentality of people buying into it, because it's an easy thing to say, obviously, right? Because they've been doing it for a long. But it starts with, you know, that first one, because that's the misconception, is that, oh, you don't look like that, so you're not that. But I think it was you, Alexis, who brought up the point that they keep trying to be just like you, you know, and they're not selling you. They're selling, we need it over here like this.
You know, and that's the craziest thing, right? Like, you're convincing us that we're ugly.
Mhm.
But then you're taking what we have and you're trying to sell it and tell
Back to
everybody
you.
else this is the standard of beauty.
Yeah.
So
You.
you know how crazy that is, that you got all this social media telling young Black girls that, no, don't wear your natural hair, don't wear your bobos with the 2 pigtails, with your twists, like we did when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like, you tell them, like, that's not a standard of beauty, or whatever the case may be. Like, you need to relax your hair, or you need to go put this in your hair, or you need to go do that. But then you mess around, and I see everybody and their mama that don't look like us wearing braids.
Right.
What type of nonsense is that? You know, the media just
Right.
tried to tell us that Travis Kelce was the one that invented the fade. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
he did.
come on now. Like, I
Right.
saw
They
it, I was
love
like,
to
what?
take credit for it, but he
Like,
was
nah.
good at straightening that out and saying, look, that is not something that I created, that, and we're not gonna do this for Black History Month either. We need more white people to announce that,
Right.
as they take things from Black people, from Black creatives, like you say, from Black beauty. And more people need to be like Travis Kelce in that manner. More white people need to give credit to Black people for what they take from us. He
Right.
said, I went there and I asked for this. I did not create this, and not on Black History Month people.
We definitely need more allies than haters right now. Um, definitely that want to take and steal. And it's okay, it looks great on white people, but Black people,
It don't look that good on
They
them.
don't look as good
No.
on you.
No. They
But
just,
Kim,
they might
Kim
tag you and
Kardashian
take
can wear
credit, but it
the
don't look
body
that
and the
good on
lips,
them.
but Black women, nope, we don't need that.
No, their hair don't have enough texture, so braids do not look on them the way they look on Black hair. Like, they can steal it all they want, but no.
Exactly. All right, let's hear from our guy on the couch on this question.
All right, question number 2 is our perspective of beauty tainted by the media, i.e. movies, social media, magazines. Skytone says, I feel as though the impact of Eurocentric beauty standards that have historically been promoted in various industries created some unrealistic beauty ideals that have impacted our self-esteem and contributed to issues like colorism or texturism, where certain skin tones or hair types are favored over others. So yes, I do think that our perspective on beauty is tainted due to constant bombardment by those media. Back to you, Shanice.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about colorism in this context. So that's a really good point. What do you guys think of that comment?
That's an all man coach comment. I don't have anything really to combat that. I think that everything that was said is pretty on the level, and I think that's what most of us said in a variety of ways, but all with the same baseline on it.
All right, anybody else, or can we take it to the website? What do you guys think?
I mean, I mentioned earlier that they have become more inclusive, and as far as the images that we see in advertisement, and print, and social media has helped with showing more of African American people, and different shades of people. Also, you can add other races again, and like disabilities. We have definitely come a long way, but we still, I believe, are dominated, absolutely dominated with these, being these images of, like you say, Eurocentric beauty being shoved down our throats. Again, it's just amazing that they able to get away with this kind of, conditioning of the people, that indoctrination of Eurocentric beauty, while at the same time they just still like you say, they tan, they want to be darker, but you know what Charles Mooney say? I mean, Paul Mooney.
Paul Mooney.
Paul Mooney.
Everybody want to be black, but nobody want to be black. That's
Nobody
what
right.
that,
Exactly, and like but like you say, that the colorism thing is an issue with black people. Gosh, I wish we could just, kind of lay that to rest, because I mean, all black skin is beautiful. Like you said, I mean, come on, these people are tanning to look like us.
Mhm. Exactly. All right, anybody else want to comment on the comment from the website? All right, if not, let me go ahead and plug the website. All right, again, the website is www.blackadvancement.com. On the website, you can find debates like this one here. We also have a list of recommended websites. These are all Black-owned businesses. One that we're going to feature today is a Black-owned athletic clothing company called KNMA Brand Co. This is a Maryland-based company, so go ahead and check them out. We also have a book of the month. This is one of the book of the month is a book called Heavy. It's an American memoir by Casey Lehman. So check out the website for more great content, such as shows like these. And this leads us to question number 3. Does our version, I think we kind of answered this, but we can go ahead and, and give it another spin, repeat if necessary. If not, it's fine. Does our version of beauty play into the stereotype of Black people being hypersexual?
Well,
we
I agree. I think we covered that.
Yeah.
well, let me just go ahead and let me just say something real quick. Yes. Nobody
No.
else? No, what? That's what kind of argument is that?
Okay, so the question is, does our version of beauty play into us being hypersexualized, right?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Okay, so I think that's contradictory kind of to what we said earlier.
No, I was just saying that to start a conversation.
I know, and I appreciate you, Aji. You will always be that person.
That doesn't sound like a big up at all. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're amazing. Thank you so much. But not our version of beauty does not. Our version of beauty is what we have on the screen, right? Our version of beauty is what we see, is what we teach our kids. It is not what we see in the social media. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, then I don't think that our version of beauty is what taints us. I don't think that we fight hard enough. I will say that. I don't think that we fight hard enough to see more representation of us on the media. Is it on the media? I'm still, I'm still getting used to this MacBook. So on the Google, I don't know if that's even a thing either. No, in the media, is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Or in social media, like we need to see more representation of us. We need to see more natural hair, more dark skinned Black people that aren't, they always got us looking aggressive or something like that. It's crazy. I don't know why they do that. But talk about our skin, talk about what affects us. And I say that like Black skincare is different from white skincare. It just is. Black hair care is different from white hair care. Our hair is not nappy. I wish people would stop saying that. I'll take kinky, I'll take coily, all of that good stuff, but you better not call my hair nappy. You better not call it anything that looks coarse. What? No, this is not a maze. You're not driving through it. So I reject all of that. I don't receive it. So I think we need to do a better job of pushing against the stereotypes, pushing against what taints us, pushing against those that tan and try to look like us. Like affirm them and tell them that they're beautiful without trying to look like us. Like they need more sisters in their life to tell them that they look okay, and they don't have to emulate us. I mean, they do. I mean, really, because the only reason why people do stuff like that is because they got low self-esteem. So, it's okay to be who you are. We've all said that multiple times on here. It's okay to be who you are. You don't have to look like us. Like, be your beautiful self. Just because you like our beauty better doesn't mean that you have to be us. And that's really all it is. Otherwise, why are people trying to get darker? Why are they trying to put in all these different, plumpers in all these different areas, their lips, their everything? Like, you don't need to move fat from one area to put it to the other area. Like, that's not your body type. Our body types are just different. So it's not necessary. And honestly, it's a huge gaslight. At the end of the day, it really is. Like, it's just this huge gaslight, and we need to stick to our guns. That our beauty is just what it is. It's just beautiful.
I guess maybe to get back to like the idea of hypersexualism, I think that maybe we don't see ourselves as hypersexualized, or our version of beauty is hypersexualized, but
there's that, yeah.
The world most certainly,
the world sees it, yeah.
I think that they're probably taking that to be able to be, they don't want to be strippers, but they just want to be desired as strippers. Just like they don't want to be Black, they just want to be desired as Black.
Western world, and let's be clear on that, right? Because that's what, So Western, if you go anywhere else, I guarantee you, Shanice, Takara, now we will all be skinny. Like, like that's.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
You know what I mean? But that's just
because other people don't have access to as much good stuff as we do here. So they're gonna be
and
walking
there's that,
around,
right?
Yeah, they're gonna be thinner sometimes just because. But
But I mean, I've been elsewhere, and I'm an outsider. I'm a lighter complexion or things like I'm an outsider. I don't look like. So there's not. I mean, if you're looking at the overall hypersexuality, do we need to step out of that? Do we objectify ourselves? Yes. But let's think about that, right? We objectify ourselves to, and this is kind of grown through music. We all listen to rap. We know what has happened over the years. Yeah. But this is why a J. Cole or a Common won't sell, because they won't sexualize us in their music. Mm-hmm. This is why a Big Brother is not going to sell, because they're not going to sexualize us in their music. That just is what it is. But you put out a Too Short or a Too Live Crew, and they start sexualizing us, then everybody's going to buy it. Let's be real.
I don't want to step in this because this is a ball that can roll downhill. So,
I'm going to step in a minefield here. I think that there's an element of empowerment that comes from a Too Short or a Too Live Crew or anything like that. Or
going at all, Antoine.
I'm just going to go in this direction, right? Because I think that to Alexis's point, we have to do a better job of combating the stereotypes instead of just embracing them. Because when you embrace it, then you already know that it's being pushed as this is the singular form of beauty through that hypersexualization, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with being, beautiful if you feel sexually liberated or you look good or whatever, if you feel sexy that day, you want to dress how you dress or whatever, that's your thing. There's nothing wrong with that. We've made it where there's shame attached to those things as opposed to just saying, no, that's just another Tuesday for such and such or whatever, right? That's their thing. And there shouldn't be any shame attached to it. You were born how you're born. And if you like what you got, rock with it. Nobody else should be able to take that from you. The power in pushing the stereotypes is making people feel as if what they don't have is enough. Somebody said that earlier, tricking us into thinking we're ugly and then going to get the same thing you already got, which, you know, we've seen the result of that. So I don't know the actual solution to it, but in doing your own. Go ahead. I don't want you to forget your point.
No, I was gonna let you finish, but you know what I'm saying? No,
but you had the greatest album all the time.
No, but from the perspective of like, I have a hard time with the idea of people saying like, you know, you should embrace a stereotype or so on and so forth. From the perspective of if you embrace something like that too much, you become that. At least to me, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, I didn't see the movie, but I'll use Bamboozle, which I think is kind of an older version of that movie, right? The point of Bamboozle was this dude was trying to poke fun and show people how ridiculous it was to have blackface on screen. Come to find out, after some other people accept it, the more he sees it, the more desensitized he comes to it, and then he just sees it as funny. He doesn't even see it as offensive by the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But he becomes desensitized to it to the point where he just sees the comedy of it and not the dehumanization that it causes. And I think that it's a line that is unfair for Black people, but it's a line that we walk all the time when it comes to taking back the power of an N-word or taking back the power of, you know, some kind of stereotype. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a difficult line to cross. Like, it's similar to the idea of to get back to what Alexis has said, where you take someone like a Too Short or compared to a J. Cole. It's not necessarily the same thing, but you know, what have you. Women love those songs. Like, it depends on what kind of person, what kind of. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say. Actually, let me finish real quick. Real quick. Women love those songs. Depending on what type of hip hop you listen to, you're gonna get different things from different people, and you could like all of it as well, right? However, you know what? I'm gonna let Shanice go.
Can I say something that is kind of based off of the empowerment idea too? Because you got people like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, that kind of embraces this kind of sexualized image of a woman, but they think this is empowering to women because I got a WAP and I want to sing about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, and rap about it. And so in the sense of that being hypersexualized, do we do that to ourselves? And if so, is there a damaging effect to that in that sense? Like, yes, I'm embracing this beautiful body that God has given me.
I will say yes and no. It's yes and no. And the reason why it's yes and no is because it's a yes if that's the only thing that is pushed in front of you. And yes, this is where that social media stuff comes into it, right? This is where all the things that they get bombarded with every day come into it. That's the thing that's pushed in front of them. If you already have something behind you, and then you see that Takara can go off and listen to Cardi B, because Takara has the background of it. Alexis can go off and listen to Cardi B because Alexis already knows who Alexis is, right? She already knows that. But if you're 13 and that's what you see as, and they're saying, and Cardi B may already be empowered to be able to say, yeah, I can do this because this is how I feel about this. However, I know what my standards are as a woman, right? If you're 13 and you see that, I'm not trying to, and I hate this because now I'm sounding like it's the TV, it's the movies that did it, but it's the TV that did it. But at the same time, if that is your idea of womanhood, that's what you go for, right? And what does that make someone who's coming up, who's a 13-year-old boy, think of women should look like and what women should be and how women should act?
But you gotta have balance though. Like, that's the thing.
There has to be balance. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like, but you don't have balance at 13. Like, in your formative years, you cannot break up between what's reality versus what isn't, right? And that's just,
we might have been able to. Like, we might have been able to. I don't know nowadays.
I don't even know if we I mean, Maybe because we had parents to show us different, right? Like that's the reality. I don't care how much social media people put in front of a kid. If you have a parent that's standing in front of you that's going to work every day and looks different, what you see like in front of you versus what's on social media, two different things. So I could put a kid right here and they could sit here on Twitter or TikTok all day, but if they see me coming in and out the house at dressed in a business suit every day and I'm going to work and they see that I'm coming home and I'm not hypersexual, but I'm still making a paycheck. I still have a roof over our heads. That's different. So your standard of beauty is going to be different, right? And that brings us back to the whole hypersexual thing, right? So yeah, is that being pushed? Absolutely. Can kids, and I think Shanice, and we had this conversation like offline, right? When you think about COVID and kids not knowing social cues, not knowing the emotional cues, or not having the mental cues because they have not been socialized for the last 4 years. So it's not just so much what has been pushed in front of them, but this is absolutely what they know. They don't see a woman, shoot, I'll even say this so somebody can go Google it, a Proverbs 31 woman walking in and out the door every day because that's just not, it's not happening because their mom is sitting at home. Their dad is sitting at home. This is all they know, right? So they haven't, like, all of us, every last one of us, well, I hope all of us, right? We know what it is to get up on Sunday morning, put your Sunday best on and go to church. We know what that is, right? We know what it is to actually get dressed up to go to an interview or to get dressed up to go to work. None of that's being pushed right now. So it's not just a matter of like a standard of beauty, but it's just a standard period. Like that's not even there. So we're asking too much of kids if we don't even, even 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, that standard that should be there is just no longer there.
Right. But I think what we're missing is that most people are Indians and not chiefs. And I think that we don't, as Americans, don't acknowledge that. This is why socialism, this is why conditioning, systemic racism, this is why all of these things have been successful, because most people in life take the path of least resistance. And they are looking for something to subscribe to. They are looking for, how should I be? What am I going to do with my life? Most people, it takes them a while to figure those things out. So whether we're talking about, like you're saying, somebody who's 13 or 23 or 53, people are easily influenced. People are easily influenced. This is why we have people who, this is why all of these things are issues, because oftentimes people aren't free thinking. We have most people have been indoctrinated and they just fall victim to that. And and like you say, that's something that I think tends to start earlier in life with teaching people that, there are other ideas. There's more than one way to solve a problem. It's okay for you to think differently, to be different. But now, the difference, because this is not new, right? The hypersexualization of women in music. Like you said, you're talking about Too Short and, Two Live Crew, that was in the 90s. We are now in 2024 and it's, we talking about Blueface and all of them. And it is being shoved down our throats if you are on social media. Like, I'm sick of seeing it. This man is in jail, and somehow him and Krishan are still like all over like the shade room, all over the timeline. Like, it's crazy.
I don't even know who they are, Takara.
Exactly, right. See, and I know who they are. And like you say, but I'm somebody who I march to the beat of my own drum. But most people just aren't like that. They ascribe to what they see and what's around them. And like you say, you can see two parents at home doing the right thing, and those kids can still make a left turn.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that happens more often than people realize, that people tend to ascribe to what is more popular or what you're being bombarded with, that even if that is not even what you see in your household. I don't think that we realize how much, like, where you live and what you see in your communities and what you see in your schools can be more influential than what you see at home. And we don't. And now, and that was the difference, right? When Too Short and Two Live Crew was around, you could shield your kids better than today, because now it's everywhere.
Yeah,
it's hard to hide. Yeah, it's hard to hide because, like you say, everybody's got a phone. You're attached to it. It's on social media. It's all on TV. Now, even when we watch regular TV shows, they curse. Remember, when we were young, they didn't curse on TV. They didn't even. You didn't even do now. I mean, it's all those words is normal.
Jack
All those
Tripper
things
would
have
never,
been normal. And like Aji was saying with the bamboozle example, we have now been desensitized to this. Like now,
yeah.
school shootings, all of this is like normal. It's not normal. These things are not normal.
You know and I just thought about the as you're talking, and you really did hit some great points there. So look at the case in Georgia, right? Fonnie Willis. You can't be smart and beautiful. You can't. You cannot do it. You cannot be smart, beautiful, assertive, be, you can't be in a position of power. Black women can't do that because what did they go after?
Sexuality.
And that's it, right? Yeah. They went after her relationships, her sexuality, her sexual past, things of that nature. That's what they went after for her. Like they didn't go after anything else like, oh, you had a technicality in your paperwork or something like that. I'm sure if they had combed through it, they probably could have found maybe something, but there was nothing there because she was too smart. So they
have not mentioned the man one time except
not at all.
in reference to her.
Exactly. So that's it is, and we talk about hypersexuality, and really this whole time, like we didn't talk about strippers, we didn't talk about the 400-pound people breaking it down, whatever it is they're doing, but it's other ways in which they go after us, like in our hypersexuality, right? And how they attack us because you can't know that how many people did she date or who was she with and who was she with at this time and things of that nature, and tell us about her relationships. So there are so many different ways in which they do it. And the sad part is she's over 50, right? And it's something where it happens as kids. And even as a grown ass woman, she still has to deal with it. Like it's not something that stops. And what it's telling us, what it tells me is that this isn't something that goes away. This is something I'm going to have to deal with. I still have to watch what I wear. I still have to watch what I say. I still have to watch how I wear my hair. I still have to watch everything. And I got 3-4 degrees. It don't matter. It does not matter. I could be the smartest person in the room. It does not matter. We're still going to be sexualized. And it's not going to be sexualized to the point of, well, you got these assets, go push them. It's in a matter of how they see us. As soon as we walk into the room, you see an object. That's it. And that's unfortunate because they're putting it all over social media, all over CNN, MSNBC. It doesn't even have to be on social media. For us, we're seeing it on mainstream media every day. This is how they see us. You got a woman that is brilliant. She's attractive. Like she could do whatever she wants to do. They didn't focus on any of that. So it's really hard to sit here and say, okay, well, what's our view of beauty and all of that other good stuff? Because everybody that they brought into that courtroom is Black. And this is how you put us against ourselves and on the biggest courthouse, on the biggest courtroom steps, on all of that good stuff. This is how you put us against ourselves. We're not fighting against ourselves on social media. Everybody else is winning. They're doing great. They're making billions off of our back. But meanwhile, you got us in court and on one of the biggest stages fighting against an ex-president and everything else. And the people that you use to take down her are the people that look like her.
Because they've made the stereotype the thing. They made it like she's on trial. She's not on trial.
And that's the thing, right? But you would think she is. Like, I wouldn't know any better, right? Like, I mean, the average Joe is not going to know any better that she ain't on trial. It look like she is.
The messed up part is this is just a Hail Mary to try to get this dude, just another delay. They already, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we'll take this to the guy on the couch. Go ahead, guy on the couch. What does the people have to say about our version of beauty?
All right, so for question number 3, does our version of beauty play into the stereotype of Black people being hypersexual? JP Diallo says, I do acknowledge that when certain features or characteristics are considered to be disproportionately emphasized, that it may potentially reinforce stereotypes about Black people being hypersexual. But that is only for people that buy into the stereotype. In the end, we cannot end stereotyping any more than we can stop racism. So we might as well like what we like and be proud of. Back to you.
Wow, great comment. Anyone have any comments or anything to say about that comment?
I mean, I think that's an even keel way to look at it. I think that's it's also a way to look at it, kind of like that's a path of least resistance as well. But I understand, but there isn't a path really to be taken on this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Antoine.
Now, I was just going to agree with you, but also
Yeah.
say that to that person's point, what can you do to change somebody's perspective that's being pushed? There's nothing you could do. Racism, for instance, has been around forever. You can tell people, hey, don't be racist. That doesn't change them from having a racist mind or deciding to treat you in such a manner. So it's the same thing with the hypersexualization. It's not that the person is asking for that, right? It's what people decide to put on you in that regard, in that moment. And you have two choices, right? You can react to it and become distracted by it, or you can carry on towards whatever you're focused on there. So I think it's tough, and every moment will require a different version of you to kind of handle that. So you just have to kind of know what's worth your time in those pieces of your life, because otherwise, I think Alexa said it, especially the women, you're going to deal with that your whole life. Fair or not fair, it's a given set of things.
All right. Does anybody else want to comment on the last comment? All right. If not, let me go ahead and kick it back to the website. Something that you can do on the website, you can listen to shows just like this. We have the female voice. We'll get back to taping new shows as soon as we can. We have the Hollywood Zoomcast. We have the Analysis Synopsis and the Beautiful Struggle. This organization also accepts donations. So if you are feeling in a given mood, please donate to the Black Advancement by going to the website. And one other thing that we have that is wonderful on this website, we have a section called Black People You Should Know. And the Black person you should know for this roundtable is Minnie Buckingham Harper. She was born in 1886 and she died in 1978. She was the first Black woman legislator in the US. And this was 1928 when she was a legislator and when she was appointed to the West Virginia House of Delegates. And one other thing about the website, we don't just talk, we also have solutions. And that's a big part of the Black advancements. We've been pushing solutions and trying to get things solved because, again, we are more than dialogue, we are action too. One of the solutions that we have been working on right now is the Operation Food Desert Storm. We have been working locally in Frederick to revitalize gardens. And we have revamped 2 so far, and we're hoping to end the food desert within our community. That's it for today. I'm saying friends like I'm talking to my class. That's it for today. So thank you all for watching. Please follow us on Facebook at The Black Advancement, Twitter at BLK Advancement, IG The Black Advancement, or go to our website. And until next time, thank you guys for a wonderful conversation. We're out. Peace in advance.
I mean, use another name besides Black Advancement, am I right?